Welcome back to another Ghost Mafia production. In this video, I'm going to be taking this 2009 CRF150R. Do you think you can guess how much I got it for? I might got a problem, because if a dirt bike comes up on Marketplace and it's a good deal and it's broke, I'm buying it. Long story short, I'm buying it. I might have a problem. So in this video, I'm taking this 2009 CRF 150R that I got for, put it in the comments how much you think I got it for. First person that's right is going to get a shout out in the next video.
Hey, welcome back. This is Ghost Mafia. This is how we do it.
My mom used to tell me all the time, she said, sometimes, if you just a little bit too high, get a little too full of yourself, you must be brought down. You will be.
Hey, the bike rolls the other way.
She's like, I don't care how bad
They call
you
me
are,
12
son.
o'clock, boys.
Somebody else out there just a little bit better. No. Hell no. Mama, somebody got to be the bad.
It feels completely awesome.
At the start. Okay. All right. Back to the video. So, one of the first things that you want to do when you get a new bike, especially one that you don't know shit about, or one that you don't know nothing about, is build a time lapse. You want to strip the bike completely down to the bare bones. Makes it easier to work on. It makes it to where you can get all your bolts all right. It makes it to where you can clean it. That way it looks brand new when you're all done. So here I am doing that. Matthew's helping me. After we take pretty much everything off of the bike and it's down to pretty much the bare frame, we then proceeded to disassemble the motor. Now when I got this bike, it was pretty much already fully disassembled. As I mentioned earlier, we bought it with most of its pieces in a box, but you still have a little bit more disassembling to do to get to your timing chain and your tensioners and your guides and all that stuff. So we're just going to keep doing that, working through that. Here's all the parts. Got all the parts that we're going to be needing, putting on, seat cover. Definitely get you one of these. Got a hot cam stage 2, new cam bridge, some fork seals, fork bullets, assembly lube. Got chips in my mouth. Alright, so we got the bike parts out of the box, and this was the fail point. The lifter got jammed into the cam bridge, and then the cam got mushroomed up a little bit. Looks like it just got overheated. And we got the new OEM cam bridge with Hot Rods stage 2 cam, and now we're going to put it on the bike. Oh my god, did y'all like, share, comment, and subscribe yet? Like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Oh my god. As y'all saw already, we started up the CRF 150 behind me. It smoked like a motherfucker. And we bought this bike. I don't know how far you saw or how much you skipped, but hopefully if you did skip, you stopped and liked, at least liked the video before you kept skipping. Oh, we got the Duramax back there all torn apart as well. And the R6 that just got its first startup. But moving right on. So, you know, I generally like to stick with a Wasco piston. They've never let me down. It's a forged piston. And going into this build, I bought this bike with an alleged top end only build, but you know, you can't always trust what people say. So I wanted to put it together as cheap as possible. Obviously, kind of watch how much I spend on it just in case I needed to do a full rebuild on it. So we put the bike together, and I want to say it was 2 times bigger, the cylinder, than it was supposed to be. And Wasco actually doesn't make oversized pistons. They only make big bore pistons. So this bike would have probably been smoking from the get-go, and they just would have kept running it. Maybe not this bad, but so what I did was I bought a Pro X, which this is one of the first times that I've actually used a Pro X forged piston. So I'm super excited to see that. I know that Pro X makes cast pistons, and I used them in a lot of 2-stroke builds that I've done in the past. I never really hated them. I loved Wasco better. But like I said, I could not get a Wasco piston for it, and if this Pro X forged piston that is a C size, so I think it's 2,000. It's a little bit bigger than a factory one, so it'll give us a little bit of space to be able to hone out this old cylinder and kind of refresh it, and hopefully get it to stop smoking, and then we'll put it back all together.
Drinking dope turned me to a superhero, hit that pill, turned me to a superhero, Roll my 90s, turned me to a superhero, If your Metro don't trust you, I'm gonna shoot you. I'm on that dope again, I'm on that flow again, switch up the flow again, Fly in the parachute, gripping that pole again, I'm on that all again,
Alright, the real test. It's so windy out here. Got the choke on, engine's ice cold. The real test of a freshly rebuilt dirt bike. How many kicks does it take to start? Prime this accelerator pump here, give it our best shot. Don't want to look like a bitch. Got hey dudes on, so that makes it way worse. Windy as fuck. Let's see. right, so what are my takeaways of the CRF150R? For one, they are double the price of 85 two-strokes. For two, they have a little bit more forgiving power band than an 85 two-stroke. For three, parts are hella expensive. So the cost of the bike costs more, to fix the bike costs more, to maintain the bike costs more. But if you don't have a budget and you're in that class, it's probably a better option than an 85 two-stroke. If you, wow, what would be the reason? If you don't have a budget, pretty much the only reason. If you don't, and if you want to be different, you don't want to be like the other 85 guys, and you want a slight advantage because it does have a little bit more.
Has like 5 more horsepower, I think, and it's a bigger frame, right?
Slightly bigger frame, ever so slightly. So like if you're planning on staying on an 85 forever, I'd probably recommend the 150. But if you're trying to progress to 250s and 450s, just get an 85 two-stroke. Other than that, the bike wheelie great, had plenty of low end torque, the high end same. We did put, I made the shorty pipe, so I cut off the FMF 4.1 and made it a shorty. And I do feel like it changed the torque of the max torque on the power band a little bit. But other than that, the bike was great. The parts were a little bit different than a 250 Honda with the cam bridge up top. So the maintenance on it is going to take longer to do in the shop versus a 250. But that's, yeah, a 150 thing, sacrifice that you got to be willing to make.
No comment.
No comment. So tell us, Matthew, since you've been a 250 C-class racer for some time, how do you feel about the 150 to all the people that are trying to get into dirt biking? Would you recommend the 150 4-stroke or the 85 2-stroke?
Honestly, for maintenance and easy parts, still at 85. That 250 to gap the valves was...
The 150?
I mean, the 150 was, yeah, hell on earth. It took us like 2 hours to get everything, because you got to take the cam off like 3 or 4 times to do one exhaust or intake. I can't remember which. Versus 2-stroke is... You just put it together. As long as it's right, you're good.
All that to say that if you like this type of video, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Tech Tip! This is going to be a Tech Tip 101. Alright, so here behind us we got some of the tools that you're going to need if you want to try to get your bike running good. If you think that you've got like a little bit of power that's like it's not quite getting anymore, it's not revving out all the way, or it's smoking like a motherfucker like this one was, I'm gonna give you 3 different options on what you can do. First off, you can send it to somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing. Second off, if you plan on keeping your dirt bike for a while, you probably should learn how to do this. It'll save you a lot of money in the future. So this here's the piston. You just saw me remove it. It's all cleaned up, nice and shiny. You can see there, that's the old marks from when the valve hit. If your valve hit your piston, it's not a big deal as long as the piston checks out. This one, it just kissed it a little bit. Kissed it just a little bit, but it didn't bend anything or it didn't crack the piston. So we reran this piston and then it smoked like a motherfucker. So as I was saying before, this piston that came with this motor was out of spec, and here's how we know it's out of spec. So first, if you don't have a center bore gauge, invest in one. Also invest in a micrometer, a manual micrometer, not a digital micrometer. So first what you want to do is you want to zero out your center bore gauge. What that does is it takes the micrometer and then you want to place it on there. There's a lot of other videos that go in more detail on this, but you just want to make sure that it's the same size as the piston. Not too tight, not too loose, where it can slide on and off. And then you want to zero out your center bore gauge. Zero out your center bore gauge. So that means that now that's all zeroed out. So now when this reads 0 up here, when we stick it in our cylinder, that is going to show us our piston to cylinder wall clearance. So that is what manufacturers from pistons, the owner's manual, that is the spec that they are telling you to check. So here you can check. Let's see if I can catch this on camera. You can check right there. We are, let's see, there we go. You can tell right there that we're like 5 thousandths. And I believe that this one calls for, I want to say it's 1.5. I don't remember off the top of my head. But it's too big. Another way you can check it, if you don't want to buy those tools and you kind of just want to just check it, you can check your owner's manual on what your piston ring gap is. You then want to put your piston ring, because most of the time these numbers correlate one with each other. You want to put your piston ring inside your cylinder as if it was on the piston already. Take your piston and then push it in level. That way everything's just in there all straight. You want to push it in there level so that everything is in there all straight. And I left the oil rings on here, so it's going to be a little tight. But there you can see I got it flush on both sides. Then I'm going to pull it out and get these. You should already have. If you have a dirt bike, you need some of these, because lots of parts on the dirt bike require these. It's just your regular old filler gauge. Stick it in there and then check your ring gap. And you can see, let's see, where is it? There you go. You can see right there, we got the ring gap, and this one was just, it's too big. It's 3 times bigger than it's supposed to be, or 2 times bigger. The spec was like 10 thousandths, and we were over 30 thousandths. I want to say closer to 32 thousandths. So that was indication number 1 that this piston was probably going to smoke. But we wanted to see if it had a bad bottom end, like I said before. So we didn't want to go ahead and preemptively, we didn't want to go ahead and spend extra money in case we needed to spend more money later. Because if it had a bad bottom end, then it would have came with a new piston, and we would have got one that had a new cylinder as well. But we wanted to know what we needed to do. So it cost us a set of head gaskets and a little bit of time to check, see if the bottom end was bad. So we're going to zero in our new Pro X forged piston. I mean, take a look at how pretty this thing is. Like, I mean, this thing's on point. They haven't got Wiseco beat yet, because Wiseco comes in a velvet bag. But as far as the piston quality, and I do love the spec sheet. Let me grab that. Look at this. As an engine builder, this right here is on point. Like, we got specs for days. And yes, I know that you can Google most of these specs, but when you're in the middle of a build and you got stuff all apart, you don't want to go to your computer and print out a paper when you bought a piston that you need the specs for. If you're going, manufacturers, if you are going to stop sending us spec sheets for the parts that you send us, put a QR code on the side of the fucking box. That way we can scan that exact part and then it'll go directly to the website, instead of going to the part and then going to the data sheets and then going to download and then going to Adobe and fucking open it. Don't do that. Skip all that bullshit. We pay for parts. We need the parts specs. Look at this piston though. Like, this looks, the design is almost identical to a Wiseco piston. Like, oh shit. Oh my god. Wow. Wow. And this I love. You see that? It's got the numbers. In the future, most of the time these numbers stay there, and when you clean the piston off, you can tell. So like, if this piston would have had, if this bike would have originally had one of these pistons with this number up here, and then I just saw that it was a C piston and that it was out of spec, it would have saved me so much time, because I would have already known that I can't get a bigger piston than what I already have. And then I would have just went ahead and bought a new cylinder and jug from the get-go. And maybe that's what I should have done. But if you're building a bike and you want to keep it as cheap as possible, sometimes you give on time. You save on money, but you give on time. So that is what we did on this. This was an extra bike for fun. We was not in a super big hurry. Let's get back to this video, because this tech tip has gone on and on.